Next, please, Beth. All right, settlement grid. There are 30 different categories within this settlement. They are largely determined, at least for those who are under 18 at the time of exposure, by age. We're going to walk a little bit more into that so that you understand that. Keep going. Let's actually get to the, all right, so categories. Back up one for me, Beth. All right, if your child was 6 or younger, actually under 7, at the time of first exposure, you're going to be looking at categories 1 through 7. If your child was 7 to 11, we're going to be looking at categories 8 through 14. If your child was 12 through 17, we're going to be looking at categories 15 through 21. We're going to walk through each one of those quickly. If you are over 18 at the time of first exposure and you have an injury claim, you're looking at categories 22 through 27. If you have a property claim, personal property claim, it's category 28. A business claim, business property claim is category 29. Business interruption loss is category 30. So let's run through those quickly, Beth. Let's see if we can kind of explore that with everyone. All right, this is for children who were 6 and younger at first exposure. Really what we're talking about is, so let's separate this a little bit. If your child was born after July 31st or exposed after July 31st of 2016, they're automatically in category 7. That is an automatic category 7, okay? They were 6 and younger. If they were 6 and younger and they were exposed between April 25th, 2014 and July 31st, 2016, then you have 6 categories to try to choose from. So let's look at what those mean, Beth. Okay, category 1, that's the top level. How does your child get there? If they had a blood lead test of 10 micrograms or higher between May of 14 and August of 16, or they had a bone scan. Those are not being done now, but if they had one and the result was 10 or higher during that same time period, they're category 1. Category 2, let's say they don't meet that. Let's walk down to the next category and see if they fit. This is a blood lead level test of 5.0 to 9.9, or a bone scan 5.9 to 9.9, or they participated in a cognitive assessment. Now, some of you, we've talked to some of you who have been through Genesee Health System through the NCE, and your children have been tested in previous. That's fine. You need to, if you let them know, they're aware of the settlement, they're aware of the program, you can contact us, we can help you do that. If not, we have brought in a team to do cognitive testing of minors who were exposed before they turned 18, who may show an impairment. A cognitive deficiency. So lead affects the brain in many different ways, and we know it affects minors in many different ways and more dramatically than perhaps adults. So we see this in behavioral issues. We see this in processing speed issues. If your child has had an IEP at school, they need a cognitive test. Let's just put it that way. We should run them through the program. You can contact us. We can talk through individually your child and what this might mean for them in the settlement, your child's experience before and after the lead exposure. But we should have a conversation. If you haven't talked to someone about that, it's really important that you do that, because this could make a dramatic difference in their recovery if an impairment is found. Category 3. They don't have the 5 to 9.9 of blood or bone or a cognitive deficiency, then we walk down a little bit further. This is a blood lead level of children who were 6 and under of 3.0 to 4.9, or the bone lead test of 3.0 to 4.9, or a different version of cognitive deficiency, a cognitive impairment through testing. Also, if your child, and this is a little bit of a caveat, if your child was born prior to 37 weeks of gestation or born weighing under 5.5 pounds, between May of 2014 and April of 2017, your child may qualify in category 3. For that, we would need medical records showing that he or she was born early, showing that he or she had a low birth weight. That's another aspect of category 3. Go ahead, Beth. Again, we try to get we're looking to get your child into the highest category possible, because that means the most recovery possible. But we walk down, if we can't get them into category 3, then we look at category 4. Category 4 is a blood lead level test of a child 6 and younger when first exposed of below 3, or a bone lead test below 3, or you can prove that your infant was formula fed during that time. You may have a medical record for your pediatrician or the clinic where you took your child where it indicates baby was formula fed with, formula fed versus breastfed. If there is an indication in that, then we're going to need some medical records to show that. If we can't meet category 4 for your child, then we look at category 5. What type of service lines were bringing water into your home? Were they lead? Were they steel? What type of, was there a water test done? And if it's over a 15 parts per billion or higher during that same time period, that will get them into category 5. Category 6 is if you can't show anything else, but we know that your child was born and exposed to the Flint water when they were 6 and younger. They are going to get into one of those top 6 categories. And again, category 7 was if they were exposed after, so born after July 2016. I know I kind of went through that quickly. I apologize for that, but I just want to try to quickly hit so you all can see there are a variety of categories based upon your minor child's age at the time of first exposure. So let's look at the second age category, because they're largely the same. So if your child was 7 through 11 at the time of first exposure, then we're looking at categories 8 through 14. Let's look at each one of them, Beth, real quick. So similar to the first group of categories, category 8 is the highest category within this age group. Again, that's a blood lead test of 10 or over. That's a bone scan test of 10 or over. That's the only thing that gets them into that top category. So then you go into category 9. That's the blood lead or the bone scan of 5.0 to 9.9. If they don't make it there, then we go down to category 10. That's a blood lead of 3.0 to 4.9, a bone lead test of 3.0 to 4.9, or a finding of cognitive deficiency, cognitive impairment. That is our cognitive assessment program, or any previous neuropsychological test. If you've had a neuropsychological test and you're not sure if it makes it or not, you're not sure if it will help your child qualify, you can send it to us. We'll take a look. There are very specific parameters for who has to do the testing, who has to sign off on the testing, but we can assist you with that. Next page, Beth. Again, if we don't have a blood lead of over 3 or a bone of over 3, then we go to category 11. That's a blood lead test for a child ages 7 to 11 at first exposure of under 3. Category 12, walking it down. What type of service lines were bringing water into your home? What type of water was your child drinking? Were they lead? Were they steel? Or do you have a water test with a 15 parts per billion or higher showing of lead? If you don't have that, if you can show absolutely nothing other than that your child was exposed between ages 7 through 11 at their first exposure, they're going to be in category 13. If your child age 7 to 11, let's say you moved to Flint and your child is 9, at first exposure after July 31st, 2016, they automatically will be in category 14. So you can see the age groups are separate, but they kind of follow through as far as how the categories flow. And let's do the next section, Beth, real quick. So again, this is children age 12 through 17 at first exposure. We're looking at categories 15 through 21. All right, highest category within this age group is category 15. That's blood lead or bone lead of 10 and over. Walking down, category 16, that's blood lead or bone lead of 5.0 to 9.9. Walking down, category 17, this is a blood lead test of 3 to 4.9, or a bone lead of 3 to 4.9, or a showing of cognitive deficiency, a cognitive impairment with the required testing, the required personnel signing off on it. Next, go back up, Beth. Did we skip a page? So categories 18, 19, and 20. Sorry, we may have
that. I must have missed it.
That's okay. So it largely is the same. What type of service lines are coming in? Do you have a water test? And we can go through that again if you call us, if you have specific questions. It's on our website. This information is on the website of the Flint Water Justice website, so you can find it there.